What's going on, my good people? Once again, you are tuned into WPIMP Radio, where we are taking a change of events by request, and there will soon be a show speaking on a lot of these subjects that people are asking me to talk about. Every now and again, I come in and I take requests on subjects that people want me to talk about. As I do own quite a few different companies and businesses, people have asked me to talk about ways to gain financial freedom. Now, this is probably going to have to be broke down into a couple of parts because there's a lot to go over. But I'm going to start with, all right, let's say, for instance, okay, the only way you're going to gain financial freedom, let's go with what financial freedom is. Financial freedom is basically, you are basically working for yourself because you want to. You're making enough income that you should be good for the rest of your life. And it's so many ways of things that you're going to have to do to get to that point where your income or your businesses pretty much run themselves. Like, for example, the businesses that I own, I deal with, but I deal with very little. I'm more of the manager than anything. And for anybody out there, because sometimes I talk to a lot of people and I help a lot of people and I speak at different functions. A lot of people, you looking for the end result and you not necessarily trying to think about the work part because there's work involved. There's actual work involved that you're going to have to do because you're not going to start at the managing part. Well, unless you already kind of, got a lot of money stashed somewhere that you can start there. But that's a whole nother story because the first thing a business needs is capital. And most people don't have the capital to start a business. And I tell people, if you're using your own money to start a business, you're probably messing up because you don't want to spend your own money because you need that money to live, So this is what I always tell people. I don't care what anybody tell you. You're going to have to straighten up your credit. Now, when I say that, everybody cringes because they just think it's impossible to straighten up their credit. It's actually not. And it's also people that think that you got to file bankruptcy to straighten up your credit. You actually don't. You don't have to hire anybody either. I mean, because a lot of these, they have a lot of these programs now that are free. Like pretty much all with the three, well, I ain't gonna say all three, but pretty much the credit bureaus that give you a credit score have some type of program that will help you for a very small fee. Something like $10 to $13 a month that would help you and advise you on things to do straight out your credit. But right now, I'm going to go over a few to help you out straight out your credit. For the people that don't know, the federal government has issued by law now, you can get a free credit report at least one per year. That's where it's getting from where these different places, like I ain't going to name any names, I don't want to badmouth nobody, but these different services that let you see a credit score and they claim that they'll let you see your credit report for free. Not really. They're not really giving you that for free. You can get it for free on your own. Through the U.S. government. They're not really doing anything for you. They're kind of saying that to make you think they're doing something for you so they can try to sell you something else. But truth be told, you get it for yourself. Now, you got to do your due diligence into looking at your credit report. Now, here's what I suggest you do. When you look at your credit report, look at it don't matter how much it is, depending on how old it is. The older it is, the less you negotiate to pay. So let's say, for example, you have some type of bill, like a hospital bill or something, that's $4,000. Now, if that bill is 5 years old or so, 4 years old, they've been waiting this whole time. It's probably already over to collections. Do not call collections. Don't deal with them at all. They're just going to charge you an extra fee. You call the office or wherever the bill originated. Call them and tell them and make them an offer to pay a lesser amount, but make them agree and put it in writing that if you pay that amount, it's going to say paid in full and they take it off your record. Now, this works. Why do I know that? Because I've done it. Okay. So me, myself, depending on how old it is, like if it's that old, like I said, if it's like 4 or 5 years old, honestly, I wouldn't offer them probably about 20%. 20-30% of whatever the amount would be is pretty much where I would probably offer. Which will probably be about, like $1,000 maybe, probably about $1,000 is what I would actually offer and say, I'll pay this, take it off my record, and then I won't have to pay anything else. Now, once you offer that one is gone. Now, don't get me wrong. This is a slow process, and it may take you a full year to get all the stuff off, and you might not get it all off. Let me get to that. Some stuff you don't want to worry about. Like if it's close to being 7 years old, it's going to fall off anyway. That's another thing you have to look at. Once something is on your credit report that's 7 years old, it don't supposed to be on there anymore. A lot of people don't know to tell a company to take it off. So you basically just do it's a form that you can either print off and send in, or you could do it through the computer. It's easy to do it through the computer, but if you're in computer literate, you might have to get the form and print the form out and send it in. But I suggest you do it through the computer. And I think nowadays it might be the only way you can do it, where you basically go to the computer through the credit bureaus, and you say that this bill is over 7 years old. It's going to ask you the question. It's going to give you a stroll down of saying which ones are which of what you probably need to do. So it's going to say stuff like the bill is over 7 years old, or the different things that you can file and say the reason to take it off. And it's actually a lot of reasons that you can take it off. It could be the bill is wrong, and they'll take it off. Like, that's another thing. But let me go over the first one first. Let's say the bill is over 7 years old. If the bill is over 7 years old, they're supposed to just automatically just take it off. It's just gone forever. Now, debt's gone. So all you have to worry about is things below 7 years old and whatever shows up on your credit that's below 7 years. Honestly, if it was 6 years, I wouldn't worry about that either. Anything 6 years, 5 years and down is the only thing I would worry about. Now, like I said, it's not going to be fast. It's probably going to take you a year to negotiate and get a lot of stuff off before you get your credit right. But about a year and a half, your credit score is going to start going up automatically right after you do like the first thing, getting it off. But say about a year before it actually gets straight. Now, it's going to take some discipline. Biggest issue that people have is like, okay, once your credit score start going up, people run out and they get all these cards and they charge the cards. Don't do that, because you're just going to mess your credit up. You're trying to get to the end result, the end goal. I don't care how high your credit score get. Don't run out and get a bunch of cards. Not that that's going to hurt you. That's another misconception. We'll get to that later. But once you get your credit score up, then doors will start to open, right? So you want to start a business, whatever you wanted to do, whatever your dream was that you wanted to lead the workforce, that's the first step into gaining your financial independence. If you have to have credit, it just ain't nowhere around it. I'm sorry. It's just not. Because in order for you to get the capital it will take to make a major move like stop working, you're going to have good credit to at least start it off. You know what I'm saying? The idea is to get the credit started off, and then you run it off the business credit. But you got to start it off with just money that you can throw at it first. Okay. So now that you got that straight, whatever money you need now, let's get into, you got to start the business, whatever kind of business you want to start, LLC, whatever. There are programs that will also let you borrow the money at low interest, where your credit score ain't got to be perfect, but they'll still let you borrow the money against the business name. But your name is still associated in some kind of way. So you have to, that's why I say you have to have your credit right, have a history of you paying bills and stuff. So you will get the loan, the actual loan for capital in the business name. And for my minorities out there, they actually have in every state, in pretty much every county, they have what they call minority loans. These minority loans are everywhere. If you don't believe me, Google it. They have minority loans that are issued by the government that will help you start a business. And it's still a loan and everything, but it's just a really low interest loan. It's really low. It's lower than normally that you would get like from a bank or anything. And it's also a little lenient to it if your credit score is just up to where it need to be. Most people don't know these exist. I have conversations all the time where people don't know these exist. And for people that don't know, this is how a lot of foreigners get stores. They think that the government is giving them money. No, they're not. They're getting these loans because they give them to you as long as your credit score is a little decent. And when I say decent, I'm talking like 700. You know, if it's 700 and above, they're probably going to give you a loan. And I ain't talking about a ridiculous loan. Now, we ain't talking about, they ain't forgetting $1 million. Let's not go crazy. We talking about a loan to start a small business, a small loan to get your capital if you're selling something or something to get the product to sell. So you already kind of got to have a little something going to get the business going in the first place, like people that you're going to sell whatever the product to or whatever you're trying to do. So they're going to give you this loan, and then they got grants. It depends on what you're doing. If you're trying to have a storefront, they got grants that will fix up your store, like the front part of your store, like the signs, just different areas got different things, but every area has things like I'm talking about. They have part of the loan will be grants, and the rest of it will be cash. I mean, just a regular loan like everybody else. It's just the interest rate is way low, and it'll probably give you way more years than normally it would to give you a chance to pay all this money back. Now, in order to get these loans, some require an actual business plan. Let's jump off into that. Now, business plan is just basically saying you're writing down this plan of how I'm going to pay you this money back. What is the plan that you plan on spending money on? Where is it going? Customers you plan on having? Where you plan on being? That kind of thing. Just a plan of saying A, B, C, D. I'm going to get the money back. Every month I'm going to pay you this. And this is what's going to be left over. This is going to be my profit type of thing. So if you're not a person that's skillful in that, it's okay, because they have free services everywhere for that too. Most of the time it'd be a college. It's associated with a college or a community college somewhere, or just a university, that they have some type of program that people will help you write out their business plan. Because all you're doing is telling them what you're doing and telling them the plan, what you're trying to do, and they're going to give you the business plan. You go get this loan. Now, what I'm saying for a lot of people, it sounds complicated, right? And it sounds hard, but I promise you it's not. You're going to have to do a little reading to get up on the things that I'm talking about, and a little information grabbing. But it's got to be in you that this is really something that you want to do. And like I said, it's work. It's work. You got to work, but you got to think about it like this. You're working for you, though. So you've been working for other people hard all these years. Why not do the hard work for yourself? You got to kind of think like that. So, all right. Now we're at the point of you get the money, you're doing whatever you want to do. You finna invest in yourself, start your business. You got the capital. Let's get it going. Now, whatever business that you start, you can't just start anything. You have to start something that it almost can run itself without you being there. Because this is the next thing I don't advise people to do. I do not advise you to walk off away from your job when you start that business. Like the moment you started, because you should not be trying to live off of money from a brand new business like that time you started. Not unless you're already established. Now, if you're established and you got customers that you bringing in serious money, I can see it. But you talking about a brand new business, you ain't never did it before, and you're just starting? No, I would not suggest doing that. So starting off is almost kind of like you're going to have two jobs. Your primary job and your business is kind of part-time. Now, you might have to rely on family and friends to kind of help you out a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But you still pay them. You do everything you're supposed to do until it actually gets established and making real money. Now, once it's making real money, now you start looking for a person to run it for you, because you got to think about it. You're trying to gain financial freedom. You're not trying to have another job. If you got a small business that you in there every day behind a desk, or if you the salesperson, whatever you're doing, that's another job. That's not financial freedom. I'm getting there. Okay. You have to set up an operations, a way that you do that business, that it runs itself. That this person comes in, does this every day. This person comes in, does this every day. It's management. Now, if you're not a skillful person in doing that type of thing, you're going to have somebody that is. Point blank and simple. So you will have to include that in your original cost when you borrow the money. Now, me, on the other hand, I didn't have to do that. Like, I already knew how to manage and whatnot. It's just, I don't know. It's just always been in me. Then I went back to school for it too. So, but it was just always in me to do it anyway. So I could do it myself. And when I say manage, I mean everything from the books to the operations of how to set it up, where it runs itself, where each person that comes in, I gave you a position. This is what you do for the day to day. And if you do that, you're a cog in the wheel. You can make that business run and take your hands off, because each person has a job to do, and you can leave and it still runs. That's what I mean when I say set up your operations. Now, you did all that. Now, if you haven't paid attention to all this stuff I just explained, I know I said a lot. And for you that out there, if you want more information on where to find this kind of stuff at, I can kind of tell you, or where to look for. Most of it is like in .govs and whatnot in your county or whatever. It's easy to find. I just told you how to make a business, still keep your job, but it runs itself. So now you picked up an income. but you haven't left your job yet, right? You're just making more money, right? Now, the business over here running itself. Now, it depends on what business you get or you choose to do, how fast it grows. Like for me, for example, most of the business that I choose grow fast. I have a couple of businesses that don't, but they're just something that you'll be able to, like later on, you'll be able to spend money on things you just wanted to do anyway, basically is what I'm getting at. But the businesses that I suggest that you choose are businesses that grow quickly. Choose a business. Don't choose a business that is a bunch of them already in your neighborhood or in your area or whatever. Choose businesses that community needs, that they don't have a lot of or don't have at all, that they actually need for day-to-day functions. Like for example, if it's not a dry cleaner place for within 40 miles of where you stay, that's the business you probably need to go with. You know what I mean? It's stuff like that. Stuff that the community uses on a daily basis is what you want to pick. So that will grow super fast. You know what I mean? Like with me, I got into real estate and house flipping and rentals and stuff like that. That's the type of thing that it's going to always have growth. You know what I mean? It just depends on what kind of area that you're in. Like for me, I tell people, if you're going to do something like that, you want to do it in an area that's growing, that they're building a lot. If you do that in an area that's growing, that they're building a lot, or they're building a lot of like warehouse type work jobs, whatever, those would be the renters or the people that's buying the houses. So you will be able to sell stuff quick and the business will grow, super fast. So where I'm getting at is this. Once the business has grown and it's grown to the point of that, now you have a choice because the business is actually making the amount of money that you make working. Do I want to keep work? I mean, once you completely like profit, don't even look at the profit. I tell people that too. Don't look at your profit. Don't be just because you messed around and you got $100,000 in the bank. Don't just be like, let me go figure out a way to spend this $100,000. Because remember what you're trying to do. You're trying to grow the business to become financially independent. And financially independent means that you could physically go home and sit down and do nothing. That's what it means. Do nothing and still would be okay. So until you get to the point where everything, the profit is actually your salary. After everything is paid for, you pay for everybody and you still have a profit and then your salary is probably your salary is probably like 10% of the profit, maybe 5% to 10% of the profit. It's probably when you can be like, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and sit down. You know what I'm saying? It's got to be something real low like that because you don't want to take away from the ability of the company to grow. That's what a lot of people mess up at. They leave too early, and it'll be opportunities that will present themselves that your company can grow. And now you don't have the capital to do it because you're trying to live off this money. See what I'm saying? So the point is to constantly keep the businesses growing. And you might don't stop with one business. You might decide, hey, you know what else is community lead? A daycare center. Open that up too. And you do the same thing again. Now, guess what you just picked up again? You just picked up another passive income. Now you got two. So even if the one business is not growing fast enough, you got another income. And you growing that one too. And then you do it again. 3. And so on and so forth and so on. Because once you do it one time, it's not as hard to do the next few. It's nothing to do the next few because then you'll have the money, the actual cash to do it now. After you do probably one, you'll have the cash to probably do the next one. But here's the thing. Remember, we started with credit. Started the business. I told you where to get the loans from. The loans are not hard to get, but you have to fix your credit first. And do not pick a business that everybody got. Like, for example, the favorite business that everybody want to do is landscaping and restaurants. Now, even with restaurants, I would say it depends on the restaurant. Because restaurant is about the most riskiest business you could be in because it's so many. That's why. So it depends on the restaurant and what you're serving. So like, say, for example, like where I stay, for example. It's so many Mexican restaurants where I stay, you'll swear down we by Mexico. Seriously. And a new one opens up every 5 minutes. So the worst thing to open up in my area is a Mexican restaurant. Why? Because it's so many. All you're going to do is spread all the customers out. Now y'all sharing all the customers. So instead of you growing that business, you're just taking away from another business, which one of y'all going to suffer at some point because it's going to depend on which one people pick to like the most. So it may not be you. You're taking that chance. You're rolling that dice. You know what I mean? So why not open up something that the community don't have? Like Caribbean. We don't have one Caribbean restaurant in my entire town. Like if I was going to open up a restaurant in my area, that's the one it would be. Get some jerk chicken going, some stuff like that, you know. Because it's not a bunch of, you don't have a bunch of competition. So you automatically don't get people just off default. You know what I mean? You got to think like that. You think like with a business mind. You try to get a community something it doesn't have. It's a lot. No, I said it's probably going to have to be two parts to this. It's a lot of information out there. That's another thing you can't be scared to do. A lot of people don't want to do their homework. They don't want to read. They don't want to try to find out, the details of what to do and what not to do. I'm going to tell you like this. If you're not the kind of person that can sit down and hold a book in your hand and read, you're in a little trouble. You're in a little trouble. Just a little. Because different areas is going to cause for different things. Like the information you get out of a book is good for a basis. But your area may cause for you to do something a little different than what the book is advising. It's just because it depends, for every business, depends on the area, exactly how you do what you're doing. So if you're the kind of person that can't sit down and read a book and you're going to lose interest real fast and your brain doesn't, accept the information, I invite you to go ahead and I hate giving people free commercialization to get the Audible or any book that reads itself. Because, nowadays we're in technology. They got books that read themselves. So you can just play and just listen to it when you're bored and you ain't doing nothing just to get the information in your head, because you're going to have to learn how to do things. There's no way around it. Because if you don't learn how to run your own business, from front to back, how you going to know when somebody's messing over you? You're never going to be able to tell. You need to know how it runs and how it works from front to back before you really turn it over to anybody, to be honest. Or at least the basis of it, of how it runs, like the books, the taxes, payroll, things like that. Even if you don't really know the operations of the hands-on of how to do it, you need to know how to manage it. Most definitely that. So let's see what we went over so far. On your way to financial independence. Now, when I say financial independence, it's not going to be immediate. It's not something that happens overnight. And financial independence means that you can literally sit at the house and do nothing. If anything, you might take a phone call every once in a while and talk to the people that actually run what you do. It's going to take building some stuff up. And whatever business you choose got to be something that can grow. And a lot of people like to partner up with people too. It depends on how big the business is you're buying and what the profit margin looks like. I don't like personally partnering up because I ain't trying to split no money. But that's just me. But I would in an instant if the business profit is ridiculous. If it's to the point that it's a ridiculous number, I would consider it. But in most cases, the only reason I won't do it a lot of the time, like a lot of people have tried with me, is that everybody not meant to run a business. That's another thing too. A lot of people, you listening to me, and if everything to you sounds foreign, or you don't feel like you want to do the work, or you want to read or whatever, that means you're not meant to run a business. Because everybody's not meant to. You may not be meant to run a business. You may be meant to be a worker. So all I can tell you is, if that's what you're looking for, you may be the person that, who knows, meant to be the supervisor for that business. Find somebody in your family that is meant to run a business and take your idea to them and let them run off with it. You know what I mean? That way you still got hands-on in the business, but you're not the one that's actually calling the shots and running it. I found that out too a lot. Because what happens is there's a lot of people, I can't think of a nice way to say it. It's a lot of people that don't have the intellect to I'm trying to think of a nice way to say it. They don't have the intellect to watch to control all the moving pieces. You know what I mean? Like think ahead and see all the problems before it happens and actually control it and make it all go in a positive direction. A lot of people can't do that. They just want to do what they want to do or what they heard from another person. And now we jumping off into credit a little farther after that conversation. Like, okay, it's a lot of wrong stuff, y'all. We definitely gonna have to do a part 2. A lot of people think that if you get a bunch of credit cards, that it messes up your credit. It's not true. Companies got thousands of credit cards, just so you know, and they still buy stuff, and the companies ran just fine. It's not the credit cards that mess up your credit. It's not paying for them. I don't care how many credit cards you got. The credit cards is not messing up your credit. I don't care if you got 15 credit cards. It's not messing up your credit. It's you not paying for them that is messing it up. Okay. Let me explain that a little further. For you to keep your credit score at a respectable number, you don't ever want to go over 40 cents. They suggest 32, but as long as you stay below 40, it'll stay decent. 40% of whatever the total thing is. So let me explain this further. Let's say you got 2 credit cards, right? One credit card got $1,000 on it. The other credit card got $2,000 on it. So that's $3,000. But you got the limit at $1,600 between both cards. If you add both cards up together, it's at $1,600. So you're over the 50% mark, so it's going to make your credit low. Now, if you took either one of those cards, you completely paid it off, it would take you below that 40%. Would it make your credit score go up? It don't matter that you had 2 cards. It's just that your total limit of money that you spent went over that 50% mark. Okay. I'm trying to make sure I tell you this right. So let's say, for example, you needed your credit score to go up right now, like today, and you don't have the money to do so, but your credit score is still kind of decent right now. If you really wanted your credit score to go up and stay up, you go out and get another credit card. Let's say you get another credit card, and the next credit card got like a $2,000 limit on it. So now you're at $5,000, and it's at $1,600. So now you're below the 40% mark, right? Because you add in the third credit card, but you don't put no money on it. Because now it make it look like you got $5,000 worth of credit, but you're only at $1,600, which I can't remember. I don't know what the percentage is, but I know that's definitely below 40%, because it'll be $2,500 just for 50. So that's below it. So you just concentrate on paying off the 2 or either one of the credit cards, and you don't use the third one. That's the quickest way to jack up your credit score and to straighten it out. And people think that, to give you an example, for anybody to tell you this, listen to this, and they finna tell you, because there's always naysayers out there that say, oh, they're going to tell you that you got too many open accounts. No such thing. No such thing. That's how companies are ran. Companies are ran off credit. Like, you got companies right now that they probably make about $45 billion a year, but they got $30 billion worth of debt that they pay every year, right? But they still got the credit to keep running them damn companies. That's not true. If they tell you, if nobody's telling you that, nobody's telling you got too many open accounts. If they telling you that, they're telling you that because you're over that 50% mark, not because you have a bunch of credit cards. And the reason I say that, all right, I'll give you an example. The reason I say that is because people credit who I have fixed and people I've dealt with have multiple cards. Because anybody with a business is going to have multiple cards for multiple things. All right. Off the top of my head, just for my real estate business, for example, my real estate business probably got associated with about 6 to 7 credit cards, right? But my real estate business credit score is like 785. And it's because the credit score is high because all the utilization of each card is so low. You know, because it's got, like, the business got a ridiculous line of credit because of 7 credit cards. But if you add them all together, it's probably down in like the 22% or so of utilization of all the credit cards put together, right? So, and then it's like, it's a bunch more to it, but that's pretty much the basis of what I'm talking about. So that's a misconception and the thing that a lot of people are talking about or been telling you probably all your life that it's wrong. That's wrong. That's not how it works. So I'm telling you now how it works. And the reason I know is because I've done it and continue to do it on a daily basis. And you know, I had the credit score to prove it, and the cars with, you know, ridiculous limits. So, and anybody, like say for instance in the real estate field, if they flip houses and whatnot, will tell you the same thing I'm telling you. Because that's how they flipping the houses. Nobody used their own money to flip houses. They're using credit or equity in houses. They're not, which is the same thing as credit. They're not using their money. They're using other money, like the bank's money, other people's money. And that's how you're getting the money, because you have all this credit from showing that you might have something crazy like in credit, you know what I mean? You may have on the books, because you got houses with equity in it, then you got credit cards with limits on it. When you add it all up together, it makes it look like you got $500,000 worth of credit, but you only using 50 or 60 grand at a time to fix up these houses. So, and then you turn around and you're paying it all off in 3 months. So it's making your credits go skyrocket. They're going, oh my God, he's paying all of it off. And they're going to keep giving you money. So the next subject that we got to talk about is self-control. When you do build your business up to the point that you're actually making money like that, don't go out and start buying Lamborghinis and Escalades and doing dumb stuff, because you might hit a hardship in your business. You can't do that. You can live comfortable. See, that's what financial independence means, is you live comfortable. It don't mean necessarily that you get to live in houses that cost $600 million. That's not, $6 million. That's not what it means. So you have to build it up to justify each time that you make a move to move up. You can't take a step up earlier than you should. And you'll know when it's time, because you're going to have all this money in different bank accounts when it's time to make a move that you feel like you can move up a little bit. But even then, you still got to show some self-control, because you got to have money to run your business. I have bought out a few businesses from people who, the moment that the business sees success, they lose it. I got to get the brand new Escalade and stuff like that. They start figuring out ways to spend money instead of spending that extra money on growing your business to make yourself make more money. You see what I'm saying? Because that's the end result of financial independence, is to make as much money as humanly possible so you can sit down. Not to change your lifestyle. It's to make money in the lifestyle you're in right now. Because that's the number you have to figure out. What would it take? What kind of money would I have to make a month, that's extra money, for me to live right now and be okay for the rest of my life? What kind of money? What that number look like? And that's what you have to figure out on paper and write it down. What's the plan, and how much money would my businesses have to make in order for me to do that and be comfortable and actually pull it off? It has to be a written down plan, because if it's not a written down plan and you're just looking at bank accounts, you're going to do that extra early stuff, and next thing you know, you're broke, or your business done went out of business, or somebody like me going to come along and buy your business for a little nothing. Just steady growing my portfolio. But I knew there was a lot of information, and there was a lot of stuff real fast, but, rewind it back, listen to it. Hey, come in the chat room, ask some questions. I answer some questions. Like I said, we are in the works of making a show to discuss these type of things here on WPIMP. Just haven't actually, made the show yet and did all the work to make the show, but it's in the works of doing it. I'm talking about this because people are asking me to talk about this subject.